Live, and we are live. Okay, so for those of you who are watching us live, welcome to the Doors Success Coaching Live Google Hangout. I'm here today with John, and what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about how to create and manage a resource pool in Microsoft Project. So first, what we're going to do, and John, feel free to ask any questions. By the way, John, if you mute your microphone, then you won't pick up any background noises. Because whenever you move, what happens is...
Okay, now this one.
I can mute you for you if you need. Let me see. There we go. Okay, so I clicked on mute for you. So you're muted. All right, so now what we're going to do, and feel free to unmute yourself, John, when you have a question. I'll try and pause so that you can ask any questions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my desktop because I want to walk through something that I put together for this presentation. So let me share my desktop, and we're going to go to this presentation that I created. It's over here, and let me just put it on full screen mode. So creating a resource pool is pretty simple in Microsoft Project, and it's a very powerful feature that will help project managers gain control over allocating resources, which is a major concern for most managers. Okay, so basically, when you create a new project file in Microsoft Project, this will give you the ability to manage people and equipment. It's literally a project file that only contains people and equipment. So, I don't know if you know, but you can manage resources that are human resources as well as objects like equipment that you're ordering. And when these resources are assigned in your resource pool, then you can take that pool and assign those resources to one or more projects that you might be managing. Now, in this picture below, I just did a quick example, and this happens to be in Project 2007, but I did this because I wanted to show that it's pretty much the same in Project 2010, which we're going to walk through in a minute. In Project 2007, what you do is you go to the Tools menu that you see there in number 1, and you scroll down to Resource Sharing, and then you select Share Resources. And when you select that, what happens is you'll see a Share Resource dialog box that pops up. And what happens is you select your Microsoft project file that you created. So what you're going to do is first create a Microsoft project file. You're going to call it your resource pool. You're going to call it whatever, resource pool. And then you're going to share it in your other project files so that you can access those resources. And this is how you do that. What happens is once it's shared, then you go back to your project file, and whenever you click on the resources drop-down list, you'll see all the resources being read directly from that resource pool that we connected to. Okay? So that's pretty much what you do. The reason why you do all this is because if you keep resource information in a single resource pool, you'll have all of your assignment information, all of your cost rates, all of the availability of all of your resources in one central location. You'll know who's overallocated, who's free to work, what project they're working on. It just literally simplifies everything. So that's the reason why we would want to do this. Now, let's go back to, let me stop sharing and go back to the screen here and ask if there are any questions about what I just said. So are there any questions so far? John, you good with what we just said? Let me take your mic off mute here. John, you good with what I just said? Well, I can't hear you right now, so let me... I still can't hear you for some reason. Check, roll over the top part of your screen and click the unmute icon. So from my end, it looks like you're muted, John. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, I should be back now.
There we go. Okay. So I was asking if you had any questions about what I just said. You there, John? You're still muted right now. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, now
Can you
you're
hear
on.
me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah. So
So,
the question, the issue is I'm on project 2013. I use project 2013.
Okay, no problem. Well, let me show you. We're going to actually go to. I'm going to do a screen share. I'll keep your mic unmuted. I'm going to go back to screen share, and I'm going to open up Project 2010, which is very similar to 2013. So give me one moment here. What's your question about what I just said? I was just walking through. The principle is the same in older versions as it is in newer versions. Let me switch over to project. Here we go. Can you see my screen with the project open?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this is a copy of Project 2010, and as I mentioned, the picture I was showing before was of 2007, and the process is similar in other versions of Microsoft Project. Now, what I have open here is a project file. I went to File, New. I created a new project file. All you do to create a resource pool, all you do to create a resource pool is you go to File, New, and let me just click on Yes. It's prompting me to save that file. Go to File, New, create a blank project, and when project opens, by default, it usually shows the Gantt chart view. So there are a couple of ways to navigate to the resource sheet view. You can go to your view bar to do that, or in this case, I went to the View tab, and I'm selecting Resource Sheet, and now I'm looking at the resource sheet. And literally what you can do here is just type in your resource names. So you type in your resource name. Oops, you type in your resource name, and you can put in, whatever other details that you want about that resource. Similar to other views in Microsoft Project, you can insert other columns if you want to manage other data in your resource view. Let's say, for example, with your resources, you want to keep track of their skill. So let's say I add a text field, and I'm going to rename that to skills. I'm calling that OK, and clicking OK. And so let's say when I add a resource, I want to keep track of their skills. I'll say, John is a project manager. Okay, but the point is, you build your resources in this new file that you created, and then once you've added all of your resources in this file, you don't put anything in the Gantt chart or anything else. You literally just save this file as I would literally call it resource pool, or whatever name you need to have if you have naming conventions in your environment. So I've already done that in this example right here. I added a bunch of names, and I saved this file. I called it, I have a typo here, but anyway, it's supposed to say resource-pool, and it's an MPP file. So this is how you first create the resource pool. Any questions about this? John? You there? Hello? John, you there? Okay, so I'll just go ahead and show you how to connect a resource pool. When you can, John, try and take your microphone off of mute so that we can interact. Okay, so once you have the resource pool created and you save it, then what you do is you go back to your project schedule. So I created a dummy project schedule here, and let me just indent these over 1. Once you have your resource pool open and you have your project schedule open, you can assign your resource pool to your project schedule by simply going to the Resource tab and selecting Resource Pool. I'm sorry, you go to Assign Resources. This resource pool is showing up because I already assigned it to this file. But when you first come in, this will be disabled. So you go to Assign Resources. This will be enabled when you first come in. And when you click on Assign Resources, it will actually open up a dialog box. Let me disconnect. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry. If you click on Resource Pool, let me back up. If you go to Resource Pool and click Share Resources, then it opens up a dialog box called Share Resources. And by default, it usually has Use Own Resources selected, which means if you have a project file and you've typed in names in that project file in the resource field, it will use those resources. But if you're linking it to a resource pool and you have that file open, this drop-down list box will show you the name of that resource pool. And the other option down here, the default is the pool takes precedence, which you want to leave as your default, which means that if you if you go to the resource pool, if you go to the resource column, the names that you select from the resource pool will take precedence over whatever names you type in the project schedule. So once you've selected your resource pool, you simply click on OK, and it's connected. And what happens is, when you go to the resource column, you'll see all of the resources from your resource pool. Now, I've already come in here. Let me actually clear this so you can see what's going on here. I'm right-clicking after I select. I'm clicking Clear Contents, and it took those resources out. Now, one of the benefits of the resource pool, as I mentioned before, is you'll be able to know if a resource is over-allocated. So let's say here for task 1A, we're going to assign Ang and Mohammed as resources there. And for task 1B, we're going to assign Gyan and Naina as resources there. And let's say for task C, we're going to assign Ang and Naina for those tasks. Now, before I click Enter, I just want to point out that all of these tasks right now have the same start date, and it says 1 day. So obviously what's going to happen in here is these are going to come back as over-allocated when I hit Enter. And you can see that by this over-allocation indication. And now if we go back to our resource pool, you can see the resources that are over-allocated. So this is, again, one of the very powerful features of using a resource pool. There are creative ways to set up your project so that if you need to add a column here to identify specifically which project your resource is working on, you can do that. I'm sorry, in the resource pool view you can do that to help you sort out where you want to allocate them. And from the view, if you go to resource usage, you can see all of your resources and you can see what they're working on. So in this case, Naina and Ang are over-allocated, and from the resource usage view, we can see that in 1 day they're scheduled to work 16 hours, which is not normal. You have a normal 8-hour workday. So you can easily, let's say, reassign Ong to work on that task. Let's say we'll give them, we'll say 8 hours here. Oops, excuse me. Actually, for this task, we can't change that right now, but we can, oops, excuse me, 1 second. We can assign them to work 8 hours here and change this to 0. We could assign them to work, let's say, 8 hours here and then maybe 2 hours here to finish that task, okay? Actually, they're over-allocated here because they'd have to work 6 hours because it's an 8-hour workday. So we'll say 6 hours there and 4 hours here, and now their Ong is no longer over-allocated. So this is just a quick example of how to fix your over-allocated resources. But if we go back to the Gantt chart view, right now I'm in the resource pool, so you won't see anything. So again, from the resource pool, you'll always want to be in the resource sheet. If I go back to the project schedule that I had assigned those resources to, let me scroll back over. You can see now that previously we had 3 red indicators that a resource was over-allocated, but we just fixed Ong. This one is for Nayana. We didn't fix her yet, so that's why that's showing over-allocated. So John, if you can take your mic off of mute, please, and I'll go back to the Google Hangout and stop sharing my screen. Okay, so any questions about that? What we did was we walked through how to create a resource pool, how to connect it to your project schedule, and we did a little bit of resource leveling for over-allocated resources. Are you there, John? Can you take your mic off mute? I think you're still on mute. I can't hear you. John, you there? I can see your photo, but I don't hear you. Okay, well, I'm assuming that...
I don't know why it's not coming. I'm talking.
Okay, so now I can hear you. So do you have any questions from what we just covered?
No, not at all. I'm okay.
Okay, so this makes sense. You feel comfortable launching into your resource pool?
Come again, please.
You feel comfortable creating your own resource pool?
No, absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. Did you see any differences in terms of the version you're using Project 2013, you said?
Not too obvious because I was on 2010 before, so I just migrated to 2013. So there's not much difference anyway.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. All right. Well, if you have any questions about creating your project schedule, feel free to to let me know. I did want to, for those watching the broadcast, I did want to show one other thing, and I think John, you'll find this handy as well. Give me one moment, please. For those watching the broadcast, I have. Let me go to my my Google screen here. All right. So I have a website called e-projectmanagers.com, and once you log into this, give me one moment to log in. Now, oops, I think I made a typo. Okay, so once you log in, if you go to if you're a VIP member, I want to show that under the VIP member menu, there's conversations and there's VIP videos. I have a number of, I want to quickly show this. I have a number of videos that help you with various Microsoft Project topics. And one of the nice things about Project is the concepts and functionality that you see in earlier versions of Project do exist in the later versions as well. So what you learn here will be beneficial. And then I also wanted to point out that there's a new section here called Conversations, where I have had meetings with different people from different countries. I have a lot more to upload here, but on topics that other managers will find beneficial. So I just wanted to point this out here. But going back to the Hangout, you know, I'm here to basically assist those who are interested in being successful either in Microsoft Project or in something related to project management. So if you have any things that you'd like to go over, feel free to contact me. I'm more than happy to meet with you one-on-one and or have a Google Hangout so we can share this with other people. And that's it for today. I appreciate your time, everyone, and hope to catch you on the next broadcast. Take care. Bye-bye.